Why, hello there. Welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. My name is Stephanie Benedetto, and the Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that is committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world, people just like you. And today, I'm very excited to be here with the amazing, the unparalleled Tom Mattox. I'm going to give you a little bit, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tom. Tom and I have been co-creating together for a couple of years, and I recognized him as someone who I wanted to know better the very first time that I met him in a Zoom room right here in one of the 3PGC grounding calls. And I think it's because of what I experience in Tom. He radiates this playfulness, this joy of life, this kindness. But from what Tom tells me, it wasn't always that way. And I've actually learned a lot from Tom about what it is like for some people living with an experience of a chronic feeling experience that they see like something like depression. And so his story is incredibly inspiring and has been helpful for me and also for other people through me, interestingly enough. I know Tom as a brilliant coach, as an artist, as someone who also shows me a lot about how simple it is to tap into our own innate creativity, whether we think we might be an artist or not. So he's going to speak today about what we already have going for us. You are in for a treat. So without further ado, I turn it over to you, Tom.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. That was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. And I hope I'll get to repay you in kind when we'll be hearing you this fall, and I'll be the host. So that'll be nice. But I just want to take a second to say hi to everybody. Thanks for coming. Yay, this is really great. Hi, everybody. And yeah, so great to see you all. And the title that I chose today is one of my favorite titles. I like to use it because I kind of like making things as easy as possible, especially in this community where sometimes there seems to be things to understand that aren't clear, or new concepts or new ideas. I really like to go back to the heart of what this is all about for me. And also, I would really love if everyone here today, took away something and take away something that you already have, but maybe you haven't seen that much, or, isn't it maybe as appreciated as it could be. And there's so many things. So I want to invite you, just as we start, and I want to make this experiential and interactive, not just me talking at you and all the time. And I want you really to just take a second right now and just kind of consider, if you look inside yourself, if you look at your life, can you find something? Can you find something in you right now that you know is not dependent on anything in the outside world? And it could be anything. Sydney Banks once said, one of his favorite quotes of mine, it's not actually maybe a quote because it's not that out in the world, it's from an early recording of his, where he was talking to a small group, probably on Salt Spring Island in the early days of his teachings. And he said something like, all you really need is one truth. And then he said something that really, really moved me. He said, it can be the smallest truth. One, he actually used the word tiny, one tiny truth that you already know. And to me, that was really the kicker. So what he is saying and what I'm saying and what I have seen is there are things inside of us that we already know, that we have access to. We don't have to find something new. And it can be enough. It really, really can be enough. And that's been my experience. And I'll share a little bit, but I, if you're willing to just take a moment and find something, find something that is inside you that you know that you can count on. So just take a sec. And I want to share a couple things that pop up for me. Like I could actually create a long list, which is kind of cool that there's that much available. But one of the things that I've really seen in the past couple of years is that I know at any moment whether I'm struggling with something or I'm trying to do something positive or something creative. I know that if I just take a second and consider, look within, I know that there is at least some intelligence that's going on in here. And there's some inner strength that I have available to me. And when I see that, I'll tell you, that is the most amazing feeling. I think a lot of times, if you're anything like me, you may have gone through periods of your life where you don't think your intelligence is as good as it needs to be. Like life is too big for your intelligence, or for the inner strength. You may not feel like you have any inner strength, but it's not true. It's in there, and it's possible to see if you look, and it feels so good. So anytime, like I said, either if I get down, which I do, like everybody else, or I'm trying to do something new, positive, creative, it's just an amazing feeling to look. Now, the other thing that also has been so tremendous for me, and a little surprising too, is I know that I can always find a feeling of goodwill in any moment. And that was a little tricky for me at first because I often thought, again, we're talking about something that's not dependent on the outside world. It's something that we know that we have inside of us and available. But if I ever stop to consider, I can always find a feeling of goodwill. And, that's one of the nicest feelings you can go through life in. Now, what was a little tricky about that is it doesn't mean that I could find a feeling of goodwill toward a specific person in a specific situation. Because I have to tell you, there have been a lot of times where if that's how I was looking, I couldn't find it. But I can always find a feeling of goodwill toward either myself or toward the fact that I'm having a hard time about something, or that I want to do something that, whether it seems easy or hard, it doesn't matter. So that's just another little example of things that I think that we can find in ourselves that, I don't know, I just want to say, if we can really come to appreciate them even a little more, if we can see them already happening, like we've already experienced these things without trying, without having to learn something new. They're just part of us as they're human qualities that we have access to. So with that little introduction, I just want to invite anyone who's willing or interested, pop something in the chat. Like if there's just something for you that that you have going for you, that you can count on, and that it's really not dependent on what's happening in the world. And as Sydney Banks said, it can be tiny. And so I'll just give you a second to put something in there. And I'll go on with one other thing that has been really alive for me recently, which is one of my nicest things in life, and I think a lot of people feel this, is the feeling of a feeling of being at home. I found myself saying to a friend a couple of weeks ago that, having a home, having a decent, nice home in an area that I like is probably the most important thing for me. And it's like, if I had that, I would have everything. Well, a couple of months ago, I moved. I moved out of the place that I've been living in for the past 3 years. And I'm in the midst of a journey of house sitting. I do a lot of house and pet sitting. One of the cats that I'm taking care of here might make an appearance. It has a very loud, insistent voice. And so I've been taking care of other people's homes and other people's cats. So I was in Portland doing that for a while. Now I'm in Richmond, Virginia. And then I'm going to Minnesota. And just today I learned I'm going to Washington after that. So here's the thing, I can say that a home is one of the most concrete things I think, I can see having in life. And the feeling of being home, which is, I just said, was so important. Well, I technically don't have a home right now. I'm traveling. Fortunately, I have some friends who are holding on to what little possessions I have, and I have invitations to visit different places. But do you know what I'm saying? Like right now, I'm in this place that I've been for a week. It's not mine technically, but when I look around, I have everything that I need. And I have things that I don't even think I need, like 2 cats that I'm taking care of that are like really adorable. But that feeling of being at home, that I don't know if I can explain this, but the feeling right now I have of being at home here. And guess what? I don't even have to be in a house to feel that. I can be out for a walk and feel at home. And I'm sure some of you have felt that too. I don't even need a physical home in my name to feel at home. And if I did have that thing, it would feel almost exactly as it is now. So there are a lot of things that we have access to that we might think really are dependent on the outside world to feel and to experience and to enjoy, right? Because I think that's really like we're meant to enjoy ourselves here. And so with those couple of things, I want to invite Steph to maybe read out a couple of the things that you all have put in, and let's see what we all have to say.
Okay. So here are some of the things that are coming up in chat. People are finding that they always have access to my connection to the natural world.
Wow.
Awareness. I'm always aware.
Mm-hmm.
Resilience and the power to create. That my body loves me unconditionally and is always guiding me.
Wow.
Stability.
Wow.
Well-being. Space. There is always a feeling of space, emptiness, no thought. I'm love. That I always can access well-being inside. The taste of crispy apple pie. Mm-mm-mm.
You're going to have to tell me how you do that one.
We are, well, actually, what if we think about crispy apple pie right now? Can we get a taste? Is that available as soon as we think about it?
Yeah.
It kind of is. I don't know if I've got
Kind
the
of is.
taste, but I've got a quality for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And the fact that you can enjoy that.
Yes. Oh, the fact that I can imagine it and then I can enjoy imagining it. Always
Yeah, yeah,
available.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all had experiences with something like apple pie that we've been eating and have just been like in an awful state of mind and not enjoying it at all, and enjoying the thought just as much. That's a good one.
Yeah. We are resilient regardless of the craziness that may be going on in the larger world. No place like home. I don't know if that was a thing or like reaffirming, like, yes, home is inside. Yeah. Calm, gratitude, compassion, more gratitude.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I wonder, can people feel the richness of that and the abundance? Did we realize that much was available? And there's more. I mean, if we had more time to do this, we probably could fill the whole hour up with remembering things. I'm wondering, like what you've heard so far and what you've heard other people say, has this given you any of that, like, does it feel fresher than maybe it did before we started talking? Does it feel more alive, more abundant? Is anyone having that experience right now? I know I am. Yeah. Um, one of the things that people mentioned, I think a couple of times, they said resilience. And resilience, I just love that word. Now it's become kind of a buzzword, I think. Even back 10 years ago when I was in a Master's of Education program, it's a word that has been used a lot. And again, maybe it's one of those things that we've heard before, but can come into like a deeper appreciation and deeper understanding of what that is. When I first was in this community about 4 years ago, and I was listening to people, on these webinars, and I also just want to express my gratitude for the 3PGC organizations and all the amazing speakers and teachers, some of them who are on this call, who've shared, and how beautiful those were. And even, in times for me when I wasn't feeling that well, even like a lifeline to me. And one of the, for me, common themes that we hear about in this community is resilience, and the nature of resilience, which is something that, we talk a lot about how that's innate to us, that we already have it. And that is so hopeful. So one of the first things that I discovered when I was, exploring being in this community, is I saw firsthand how resilience worked in a really simple, ordinary way. And, people who know me in this community know that I like simplicity. I like ease. I like just ordinary, like seeing things in an ordinary way. And one of the things that happened was, it was just after I'd been through a hard time and I was starting to feel better, right? And that was an illustration of like the resilience in reality for me. And I started noticing something really peculiar. So one day I was, so I live in Portland when I'm not traveling, and I don't have a car, so I get around by taking the bus, and I love taking the bus. I love getting around that way. Really enjoy it. But the thing I used to tell myself is that I hate missing the bus and I hate waiting for the bus. So, I have this great app on my phone, tells me exactly when the bus is coming. And I know how long it takes. It takes 10 minutes to walk from here to the bus stop. And I'm going to give it 11 minutes because I hate missing the bus and I hate waiting. That's what I would tell myself. So one day I was just happily not even thinking about it. And who knows, maybe the app was wrong, or the bus was early, or I was walking a little slower than usual. But just when I got to maybe about 100 feet from the bus, there it goes. I'm like, damn, I missed the bus. I hate missing the bus. And so I was just, in that state of mind. And I was walking, the few more steps to the bus stop. And I just sat down and I thought, okay, well, I missed the bus. What now? Well, I just have to sit and wait for the next bus, unless I want to walk 3 miles. And I noticed something that I'd never noticed before, something that has been happening all my life. I had never noticed before. In the moment, I saw myself going from being you know, pissed off, a little irritated, whatever you want to call it. I'm missing the bus. And I just noticed after 30 seconds, I could just feel it draining away. And it was gone. It was gone. And I was looking at the trees. I was waiting for the next bus. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting that that happened, or that I noticed that. And then it might have been that same day or later, very shortly after that, I was at another bus stop transferring to a bus. I was waiting for the bus. And all of a sudden, I started worrying about something. Now, I don't know what other people's lives are like or what their internal lives are like, but I have in my life have for all the, whatever good things that have happened, the great riches I've had in my life, I've been at times a world-class worrier. Is anyone else on this call a worrier ever? Have you ever experienced that? In fact, someone told me once when I was in, I don't know, I was like in first or second grade, and I was in the Cub Scouts or something, and the den mother said, You're a warrior. I was like, oh, first time, like I remember someone pointing it out to me. Well, anyway, I was at this bus stop and I was worrying, and I was worrying about something really big, which was my financial life, which did not look very good at the time. And I was worrying about it, but then I noticed, oh, I'm worrying. And as soon as I noticed, the same thing happened as when I missed the bus. It just, after 30 seconds, it just drained away. I was like, wow, that's interesting. So in very ordinary situations, I went from being mad to feeling good. I went from being afraid and worried to feeling good in a very short while without doing anything, and just catching on to, oh my God, this is happening all day long. It's happening all day long. And I don't know everyone's life, but I think it's happening to all of us all day long. We're going through our lives, things are happening, we're thinking about things, we're having our experience. Something comes in, a thought comes in that doesn't feel good. And sooner or later, it either drains away or we get distracted and we start thinking about something else. But what I saw how it works. So I had a couple experiences like that, and then I started seeing it all everywhere. It's the most amazing thing, all the time. I see it dozens, if not 100 times a day, where I see something happening and I see myself coming back to just either, I'm okay, or even moments of incredible joy when nothing's happening. I don't even know how to explain it. Nothing is happening except I'm sitting at a bus stop looking at a tree. So to me, what I came to see is this thing that's an example of what I would call resilience. That's what resilience is to me. And the beautiful thing about it is it's not taking any effort on my part. In fact, I began to see it almost like a law of nature. Like, how people say everything that goes up must come down, like with gravity. Well, in our inner lives, every time we go down, we come back up. Now, we may not know that we do, or we may not think, because I didn't for most of my life think that that's what was happening, but it was happening all my life. And it's still, to this day, is happening all the time. And it's so amazing to know that we have this power in us of resilience. And then I started having a little fun with it. The other thing, I don't know, does everyone else probably has little pet peeves in life? Things like, oh, I hate this, or I don't like doing this. So another one would be in the grocery store. I'm always like angling for the shortest line. I don't even know why, but I'm just like, I want to get in the shortest line, And then I'd be in the grocery store and I'd be trying to get into I'm in the shortest line, and all of a sudden somebody has to run back and get something else, or there's some problem that the cashier and the manager have to deal with. And I'm like, damn. But then I started having fun with it, and I would say to myself, oh, wow, I wonder how long this is going to last. I wonder how long I'm going to be mad about standing in line. And then it's gone. It's gone. There have been other situations where I've had to go into, you know, you can imagine any kind of situation where you're a little uncomfortable. Maybe you have to talk to someone, or go into a room where there are people who you don't know if they like you or you're going to be comfortable, but some kind of uncomfortable situation. And I'm going into it, I'm like, oh, damn. And then I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to get over it. So there were times I found myself like proactively getting over things that I knew were gonna bother me, because I knew how much I could count on that. So that brings me back to like the original, where we started here. And I'm going to ask the question again, if you don't mind. You know, think about now, what is it? Maybe this time, what is it like? Not just what the individual things are that you have going for you without anything in the outside world. Now, how does it feel to know that that's true, and you can count on that? And one of the great gifts of being in this community and this understanding that we talk about is it's been so humbling, because I always used to believe that in life what we were supposed to do is we were supposed to get to a point in our lives. Now, I seriously thought this, that I was going to get to a point in my life where nothing bothered me, because that's what I heard or thought I heard in different religions or spiritual teachings or psychological things. And don't get me wrong, that sounds really great, and maybe that's possible. Maybe that will happen someday, but I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore that my life is going to be a series of ups and downs. When I have the presence of mind, like when we reflect now, I don't care. Now, when I'm in the middle of something, yes, I do care. but that's why I'm asking this question, because I think it's really helpful to not only reflect on what we have going for us, but what it's like to know that there are things we can count on. And even if we don't see them right now, we know there's something. The other thing that's really come alive for me in this community is hope. And hope is something that I did not think very highly of hope, because I thought hope meant that you didn't try to do anything to kind of improve your life or make things better, that you were just, I don't know what the word would be. But hope is so alive for me now, because hope is something I can't say that I can always find it when I look for that, but hope just means consider that whatever you're thinking about when it comes to the future, that it can turn out any way. Like anything can happen. Like the future is truly unknown. And to me, that's really a good thing. Like that is what makes my art what it is. Because when I those of you who know that I paint, the way it works is I don't know what I'm doing. And that makes everything happening, because then I can discover in the moment. But hope is a feeling of living the feeling of possibility. And also knowing, and again, you can look back at your life and you can see this, like everyone can see what I'm about to say. Like we have all had things that we have worried about that actually happened. And we handled them much more skillfully and beautifully. And they bothered us far less than we thought they were going to bother us. I think that's happened to everyone at least once. And so hope, to me, means not only do we not know what's going to happen and anything's possible, but we don't know how we're going to handle it. And we may handle it much better than we think about it. So one of the other teachers in the three principles, I'm not sure who it was, and I'm not sure who to credit, said the most amazing thing to me once about hope, or in a group. I think it was in the context of a relationship that was sharing a story of some coaching that they were doing with a couple who were about to divorce. And I don't know what the outcome of that was. They don't often say what the outcome is, but the outcome's not really that important. But in any relationship, whether it be a friend or I don't know, anyone, that or any situation, it doesn't even have to be a relationship. Like we can find this anywhere. Like for example, it can be me about finding my next home. And someone could ask me, do I feel hopeful about that? And in the moment, I might actually say no. I might not be feeling in the moment. But the question this other person asked in this other context, it said, well, would you like to feel hopeful about it? Would you like to feel hopeful about it? And that's just, to me, that is often a game changer when I'm thinking about the future and I'm thinking about something, because you never want to, nothing in this community, I hope, ever comes across as anything like, you're not being genuine, or, you're being, trying to pretend that you're doing well when you're not. Like I don't think we ever want to do that. That's another thing that's kind of disappeared. That's not necessary for me. But if you can't find hope, like if you're experiencing something right now that you don't feel hopeful about, you can at least look and consider, would you like to feel hope? And how does that feel? And, it feels however it feels. It doesn't have to feel a certain way. But for me, that's something that really comes alive. So again, it's just, there's so much in us that we can draw on, that's there. And the other thing I'll say before I want to open it up and talk with you all a little bit about it is, in some ways that we don't even have to go searching for these things. Like they just come to us all throughout the day, little inspirations, little nudges, little things we remember that help us. And I just really believe, like any moment we take, and why not right now? Like right now, any moment we take to appreciate anything, can be the smallest thing, like Sydney Banks said, smallest thing that we take to appreciate it. I believe it starts to orient our consciousness towards seeing more and more of that and living in more and more of that. And that is just like the best news ever for me. So that's what I have experienced. And so I'd like to, Steph, are there any more things few things in the chat you'd like to read before we ask people to come on? And
there are a lot of nice kind of,
yeah, and you
we're
can pick
with
out.
you.
Yeah.
I'll see if there's anything in here that's, so some of the feelings when you ask, like, how does it feel to notice this? How does it feel to recognize this? Peace beyond understanding.
Wow.
I feel rich, a relief and peace. Yeah, those are the kinds of things people are feeling. And this could be a question, maybe something to contemplate. I think that most of us want to feel hope. Do we stand in our own way of being able to feel hope?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really a great question.
Yeah. The understanding, Jennifer says, the understanding itself is basically hopeful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that. Hope is also an innate quality. I mean, a lot of the things we talk about in this community were very new to me, and they're not, some of them sound similar to things you hear in other realms of life. But to hear that to me, that hope is built in to us as human beings is just like, hope's built into life, into the universe, to everything. And it's good news. So because when we can't see it, at least maybe we can consider that it's there. And I also want to say just something very important, that, you know, whatever we're going through and whatever you're going through right now, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, like I'm saying, these things we have going for us. And, you know, there's a lot of things we would say are, you know, very rich and very, you know, gifts. But I also believe that, and again, this is maybe another one of those gifts, that I think the most important thing, if you're going through a hard time with anything, is to just give yourself a break if you can. Like, just be easy on yourself. I think that alone, like if you can give yourself that, is just a gift, even if you can't see anything else. If you can do that, or yeah, for it's a mystery to me why life is the way it is, you know, why we have these ups and downs, but it just seems to be that's the way it is. And, you know, we do have a lot going for us. And so I'd like to just open it up if anybody wants to chat, ask a question, share something that they're seeing, give an apple pie recipe.
Oh,
I'll
cool.
jump in. Yeah, I'll jump in.
Hey, Joy.
So lovely to be in this space with you, Tom, and everybody, and especially the original Rewilders. I see Kinra,
Yeah.
Sarah, and Linda. But what I'm seeing, like deeper, like right now,
Yeah,
is how powerful questions are. And this whole thing about, you said something about, well, would you like to feel hopeful? Which then creates and opens that door, doesn't it? To someone that might be feeling like stuck and they're like not hopeful. And I just got how powerful that is, that questions can open the door to create more space. And
yeah.
anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Joy. Thanks, Joy. And the group that Joy referenced was a program that Rohini and Angus Ross did that we were in, and it's good to have you all here, and everyone else too. See, Jennifer. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
Hi, Tom.
Hey there.
I have a question for the artist then.
Oh, yes.
Because and for the homeless person or the person in the home of somebody else, because I think I can see on your wall. I think I can see a patchwork quilt. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. It's not mine though. It's not something that I. But
no.
Yes, there happens to be this really.
And I just thought, you know, what it would you? I mean, that's not something you would have on your wall ever. But yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be in your space. But it's quite a lovely thing to live with for a while. You know, I think. I don't know. Do you notice it in your life? And
do I notice? I'm sorry. Do I notice the
do
quilt?
You notice that quilt on the wall? And what do you think of it?
Yeah. Well, to me, it feels very homey to me. And the other interesting thing about it is the people who. So I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and the people whose cats I'm taking care of, I used to take care of their cats before they moved here in Portland. And so when I see that, it also reminds me of the apartment that I used to do the same thing, the same cats in Portland. So it's that feeling of being at home, but also the continuity of life and friendship. And I have to tell you a little bit of a funny story is that, so there are two cats here, and I used to take care of them in Portland, and one cat lives in the house and the other cat used to come to the door. They don't know where it came from, but at some point I think when they took it to the vet, they realized it didn't have a home. They told me when they read the chip, it was actually, this is wild. It was marked that the cat was deceased.
Mm.
But it wasn't. Unless cats truly have 9 lives, it had just maybe wandered away and was lost. So my friends and I, when I stayed here, used to feed the cat outside of the apartment in Portland, and it would come inside sometimes, but mostly it just had a wild life outside, very friendly, not like a lot of the sort of feral cats I've met. Will just roll over when you approach it. Well, when they moved here to Richmond a year ago, they brought both cats because they didn't want to leave the cat. And isn't this interesting? We were talking about homes. The cat really doesn't have an indoor, it has an indoor home, but it doesn't want it. So now they're living in this apartment complex. And that cat is named Midnight, still stays outside. It'll come in a few feet, but it wants to be outside, and it just roams. And my friends have a tracker on this cat, and they say it goes miles if the tracker is correct and comes back. So it has like its own internal homing device. So you're pointing out the quilt. Look at what it just evokes, all this richness of home, of connection, of this amazing cat, and just things that are naturally available here. So yeah.
And are the two places, are they on the West Coast and the East Coast of the United States?
You mean right now?
Yeah.
Well, right now, it's the East Coast, it's Virginia. And then the other place, Portland, is on the West Coast. Where are you from? Oops, I think you're muted again.
I'm in France now.
Oh, you're in France.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, thanks for being here.
And I've got a little bit of news from this end of the world, is that The Missing Link has just been translated into French.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're just rereading and just finalizing, and then that's going to be such a gift to the world. And
wow.
And I think you know the guy who's done it, because I think he's in your group on. He's called Liv Brunet.
Oh yeah, I do. He's a buddy of mine, an online buddy of mine.
Well, he's just written the most amazing introduction, and I think this is the most brilliant work he's done so far of all. And I think it's such a gift to the world. It's just fantastic.
That's great. And I think most of the people on this call are familiar with The Missing Link, but it's just one of the most highly recommended books, and so glad it's being translated into so many different languages. Well, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah. All right, Linda. Hey.
Hi, Tom.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Oh, Tom. Yeah, it really is a gift of yours, Tom, of how you share and make things so accessible in a conversational, ordinary, cut through the clutter and the complicatedness of things, which I can do. I can make things too complicated.
Yeah.
Way. And that, like, Tom, there's so much I get goosebumps when I'm thinking about it and feeling it, that I wrote it down. All you really need is one little sliver of a truth. That's all you need. And I'd never heard that before, Tom. And so I just really appreciated it because I just feel like there's so much truth in that. I feel more grounded. And I can feel the truth of that. So it's just great to be here with you today and everybody.
Oh, thank you, Linda. Yeah, and it's nice to have that reflection, and to remember that. And so glad you're here.
Me too.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and there's your painting. Here's one of Tom's
yeah, that's
paintings.
great. I love that. I love seeing.
Yeah,
and if any of you who are connected with me on Facebook, if you're not, please do. I send paintings little paintings like that all over the world, and some of the people on this call have them. And so thanks, Linda. And well, now we'll go over to England for another to Sarah.
We have another painting here from the Tom Mason. Oh, hey Tom, hey everyone. I came back from my dropping off my kids at school. They've just had a school disco and they looked fabulous in their fancy dress. But I was pretty exhausted and pretty pooped, and I quickly did dinner for us all, and they put on a film, and I was just so happy to sit with you, and I'm just so grateful for, I don't know what you said, but I've really just dropped and dropped into a lovely feeling, and that's what this is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know what I heard, but there's something about the word hope, and about okay, if we're not feeling hopeful, how about just reminding us, what was it you say it again, something, there was something about,
well, if you're not feeling hopeful, you can ask yourself, well, do you want to? Would you like to? Would it be nice if I did feel hopeful?
Say that again.
Well, if you're in a place and you consider, well, I don't really, you're like, well, actually, I don't really feel hopeful about this right now. That's how I'm feeling in the moment. And then you ask yourself, if you would like to feel hopeful, would that be a nice thing to feel hopeful? And sometimes that question, well, yeah, it would be great to feel hopeful. That would be nice. And then all of a sudden, you might be feeling hopeful. You might just be feling,
yeah.
Or it's not like a formula. I mean, you won't. It's worth considering.
I put it in my ear.
And who, Sarah, who is that you have with you? Who is that?
This is Tom, who sent us the pictures. Do you want to say hello?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Torrin.
Hey, Torrin.
We spoke to Tom on the phone, didn't we? Do you remember leaving him a message?
We've spoken before.
Yeah.
How old was I?
How old were you? Like 2 years ago, a year ago, or something? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Tom. Yeah, I'm definitely left with a lovely feeling. And yeah. So thanks again. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah. So we still have about 10 minutes. Anybody else want to say anything? Share, question? It's not too late for that apple pie recipe. Go ahead, Nancy.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, hey. Yeah, I really love that question about the tiny truth. What's that one tiny truth? And I didn't really get a word that came with it, but I knew it was like something even so, it was so tiny that it could be really, really huge, you know? And it was like just the contrast to me of getting caught up in a lot of thinking about anything, and all that thinking that can be like maybe not hopeful, that it's just thinking. It's not even true.
Yeah.
It's not even true. And just the power of that question as a way really to ground again back into what is true. There's like the reminder, like of Sid saying that. I never heard that before either.
Yeah.
The tiniest. It's almost like living inside a dark cave, and it's a little tiny crack, a little tiny, however tiny. It's that's the thing I want to ground into.
Yeah.
So it just really does a beautiful job of just taking me right to that feeling and getting away from all my thinking about, because the one word that did come to me was love, because it's kind of a metaphor for everything. And yet, I wasn't really sure what the word was, but that didn't really seem to matter. It was
there are lots of different words and different times that you find something different. I think ultimately they're all really the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think of it as, you think of all the good things we talk about, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like different flavors of the same water.
Mm. I have a little dish towel that says, all we need is love. And, for a lot of people, it's kind of, well, that's kind of lame, but it isn't. It's actually true. It really is. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say hey and say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
I want to call upon or give an opportunity to Jennifer B to speak. I think she was saying that she wanted to say something, and then we can come back to Jennifer D. So if you want to unmute yourself, Jennifer B.
I think I know Jennifer B.
Hello, brother.
Jennifer is my sister.
Can you hear me?
From Pennsylvania.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, it's so, it's like almost, I don't know the word. It kind of meant to be that I those events. Can you hear me?
Hey, Jen, we lost you for a bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep.
So I've been kind of scattered mentally since those events of loss a few years back, and really struggling greatly. But what you said about just finding, and I've been too inward. And so this talk and listening to you has actually helped me kind of get out of myself, because for me, being too inward is so stress inducing. And so, this has been just such a grounding experience.
We lost you again. Are you still there?
Now it looks like she lost her connection a bit. She's frozen, but of course, if she comes back, we can re-invite her.
Okay. Are you still there, Jen? Okay. Well, maybe we'll come back, and we'll go to Jennifer in France.
Yes. When you were speaking to your sister, it sounded just like one of my brothers speaking to me and calling me Jen.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we haven't really got the time, but I wanted to hear you say more about what you learned from being an artist, and then how your experience has changed.
Sure. No, that's a great topic, and I love that. And it's basically the same thing that we've been talking about today. So So my art is the same thing as life. So when I approach, a piece of paper, a canvas, I just know that I'm being inspired to do something. And so that inspiration, I know, comes from the same place that everything else we've been talking about today. We talked a little in the beginning about we were connected to the intelligence of the universe. That's what inspires me to paint. It just comes in a slightly different flavor. And then when I paint, for some reason, I found this before I came across the three principles. I noticed that I could just paint freely, and the only thing that could ever even seem to get in the way would be a thought. And I've identified maybe 2 or 3 specific thoughts that people often come across when they're making art. One is, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. This isn't any good. No one's going to like it. All those things we probably heard as kids. Those are just thoughts. And when I'm in the flow of painting, yeah, I do hear those thoughts sometimes, but they're like this big. They don't, they don't offer a reason for me to stop. In fact, those thoughts sometimes actually flip into like the thought, you don't know what to do. Like we've all heard that in our lives, or you don't know what you're doing. And we've all heard that as probably, well, you're not good enough. You can't do it. But when I hear you don't know what you're doing in the context of painting, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, every painting that I've done, if someone says, hey, can you paint that again? I'm like, I have no idea how I did that. I can paint something. So in painting, it's the same thing. It's unknown. We're plugged into the wisdom and the creativity of the universe. We can do what we want, and then we may have thoughts swooping in that tell us to stop, basically tell us to stop. And if we don't want to stop, we can keep going, and they don't have any power unless we like innocently think they have power or think they're telling us the truth. And it's the same, right? It's the same thing with life. And I can see my friend Mika glowing because she is a fabulous painter. She is and we've talked about this before. She knows what we're talking about, right, Mika? So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just throw in real quick. It's just like one of the things for me that I remind myself every time because I paint in intervals, and I've shared this with Tom, I think, where it's like I go a period where I don't go, and I can feel this thing building up inside, like it's like I gotta do it. But then I get to, if thoughts start coming in my head about feeling rusty, or I don't know what to do, or how does it look, I just bring myself back to it's about the process.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true about life. It's about the process. Like we're human, we're not perfected beings, and we're not here to be perfect. But if we can enjoy the process, if we can enjoy the messiness, if we can enjoy the creativity, anyway, that's all.
Yeah, right. And wouldn't it be great like we could take away the word painting and insert anything, and just what you said, like imagine to enjoy the messiness of other things, when it's there to be enjoyed. Well, this has been just an amazing hour with you all. Thank you so much for.
I just want to, before you go off, I just want to say one thing. When you were just saying that about, like, if we could just take the word painting out and do everything, like, just imagine if we go, just with a broad view of what color is, right? Or what texture is, like, oh, what color can I add to this? Or what texture do I want to add to this? Just in terms of life experience.
Yeah, totally. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And I think Sydney Banks used to say that we paint with our thoughts. We paint life with our thoughts. So we're all painters. We're all painting all the time. And then just in closing, I just like to say that just thank you. And I know that there are maybe not everyone on this call, but there are several people on this call who are, actively, being 3P practitioners, and just hats off to what you're doing in the world. And even if you're not a practitioner, like we're all sharing all the time. So hats off to you too. Hats off to everybody. And also I just when in this world, this community, I always like to tell people that, I'm always available. Until I run out of time, I'm always available, and I'm nowhere near running out of time. So if anyone wants to chat, wants to talk, wants to interact, you can connect with me. A couple different ways to do that. Oh my gosh, the website just magically appeared in the chat. I've got mostly that's about art and about some other things. There are some videos. And then also Stephanie and I have been cooking up some things together, and we're in the process of preheating the oven for probably this fall. We're going to cook up some more things. And she has just an amazing site called The Awakened Business, and different programs and different things. And she has also in there a community called Wildspire that you can connect with. And some of the people on this call have been in that. And it's one of the things I like about it is it's outside of the realm of social media. I mean, I love social media. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, but this is outside of social media. So it's a little different, and it's very generous in its offerings. So you can connect with both of us there. And yeah, so that's it. Do you, I guess I feel like I want to just ask Stephanie she gave the introduction. I'd like for you to give the closing, if you would.
Really, I get to give an outro. What I noticed about this whole experience was just how light and simple and easy it feels. And when whatever the topic is, when we bring that into our life, it seems to really help with the experience of enjoyment. And that's the big thing that I'm taking away. You already got what you need, and you know what it is. You've got the one thing you could find. That's it. You have it. And there's more. There's so much more, but it's already more than enough. And that is a relief that brings ease. So thank you, Tom.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for coming today. And we shall see you again in the future. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
If you want to unmute and say goodbye to Tom and thank you, you're very welcome to.
Thank you.
Bye, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Tom. Bye-bye.
Nice to be here. Yeah.
This was awesome, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fun being with you here.
Thanks, Tom.
Oh.